Richard Anasich, welcome to Hunter Business Insider, President of the Hunter Chamber.
Hunter Business Chamber, that's correct. Yep.
Big job. It's on top of your normal job. So let's focus on the Hunter Business Chamber up front. Tell me why it is such an institution.
Well, the Chamber's in one form or another has been around now for 125 years, so that's a long history. And organisations don't survive for that period of time unless, or presumably, unless they have a strong membership base which is happy with what the Chamber is doing and supportive of what we are doing. So yes, it's a challenge in the sense that having had that history, the pressure is on, I suppose, to maintain it and keep the momentum going. But it's a challenging role, but interesting role, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, let's talk about what the Chamber delivers for 100, and it has evolved obviously for 125 years. So tell us why you're there.
Well, it's a diverse membership base. I think currently we have about 880 members across a wide range of industry sectors and
big
sizes.
Through to little, isn't it?
Yeah, it is big through to little. I think currently 40-odd% of our membership have 20 plus employees, so there is a strong or a significant group there which are quite small businesses as well. But at the other end of the spectrum, over the last 12 or 18 months, we've been developing a corporate membership package opportunity as well, and now have, I think, 36, 37 members in that larger sort of corporate membership package as well. So it's quite a broad spectrum, if you like, and a diverse range of interests and reasons for being part of the Chamber. And that brings challenges with it as well.
So what services do you bring to those clients?
Well, we did a membership survey earlier this year, and the responses from that are just a few of the headline points that people saw as important to their membership and where they saw the Chamber providing some value. One of the key things is, and I guess this is particularly for the smaller members, the networking opportunities, the opportunities to meet and mix with other member organisations, other member companies, learn about their business, what are they doing, what are the opportunities for me for doing business with other members, and what can I learn from other member businesses. Another key part was, or what they were looking for was information that we provide, and that's done through a variety of sources. Through our monthly leader magazine, through articles opinion pieces we put in the paper, in the press, the regular forums that we have dealing with, for example, infrastructure, mining, health. Every month there's a My Business, Your Business free networking event for members hosted by one of the member organisations. And they're obviously popular because members, there's a waiting list of about 18 months for a member organisation to be able to host that sort of event. Again, monthly there's a business forum breakfast with a range of interesting guest speakers. There's a whole host of things. So there's over 60 or 70 events a year that we hold, so it's plenty happening. And then the other key thing which people said they were looking for was our advocacy and lobbying. So a key part of our reason for being, if you like, is to make sure that we are taking up the issues which are relevant to to the region and getting in front of the key decision makers to try and press the point.
Well, you mentioned earlier off camera, prior to the council elections, that you were lobbying for businesses to exercise their right to, especially in the CBD, to exercise.
Well, yeah, I think it's probably not well known to a lot of people who are business operators, but don't own the premises, that they lease the premises, and if through that lease arrangement they're responsible for payment of the rates, then they are entitled to be on the electoral roll and vote and have a say in that council election, which is, if you're a business operator, clearly you've got a vested interest in what the local council is doing to improve the main street or whatever else it might be. So unfortunately, the opportunity to get on the electoral roll closed off yesterday, the 30th of July, but I hope plenty of people took notice of what we said and took that opportunity, because it's a democratic society. They're entitled to vote and they should vote.
And do you lobby direct to local governments? Because we've got 11, 12, 13 on the, in your region, I guess.
Yeah, well, the Hunter Chamber covers about 11 local government areas, and so the 8th of September is a key day for many of our constituents. That's the date of the next local government elections. And clearly our role is to ask some of the hard questions of the candidates. For example, that the government has recently released the Green Paper, which is the first stage in a rewrite of the planning laws. It'll be important to ask the candidates who are standing for election, what is their view about the proposals which are flushed out in the Green Paper? Are they supportive? Are they against them? Because our members need to know. It'll be a real shame if, prior to the state election, one of the things that the Chamber and many others were saying were the planning laws in New South Wales needed radical reforms because of the delays and the inconsistencies in the outcomes of the planning process and the decision making of the planning process. This government came to power with a platform saying that they would rewrite the Environmental Planning and Assessment Act. Now, after 15 or 16 months, finally we have this Green Paper which outlines some of their proposals at least in a theoretical sense. A lot of work to be done yet, a lot of consultation before we see the final form of the new legislation. But it will be important to hear what the candidates for the council elections have to say about it. There's a comment in the Green Paper which says that these proposals will need a real philosophical, I forget the actual word, but something like philosophical change amongst planning professionals. My view is that that will apply equally to the members of the elected councils.
Absolutely.
Because it will be different. And if we're just going to have councils who say that things shouldn't change or there should only be minor changes, then we run the risk of losing the opportunity for real reform.
And you've got the opportunity to demand that level of accountability, I would think, at the local council level as well.
Well, we can.
Request it, demand is it?
Well, not demand. I mean, it'll be up to the candidates to decide how they might want to respond to any questions that we put out or any forums that we conduct. The Property Council, for example, in Newcastle is holding a forum, I think on the 10th of August, where the Lord Mayoral candidates will be on the platform, and I'm sure they'll be grilled by many in the audience at that. But that's the sort of thing which needs to happen in the lead up to the election.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If we move to, I guess, infrastructure levels and decisions, we talk about transport in the valley, but can't go past what's happening in the centre of the city. With, you've probably noticed there's a railway line down the middle there.
There does happen to be one, yes.
Yes. Does the Chamber have a position on that?
We do. There's no doubt that the Newcastle CBD needs to be revitalised. It is the regional capital. We need to have a regional capital that is thriving, that we are proud of as part of the Hunter region. And unfortunately, we don't have that at the moment. You hear too many stories of people who are bringing visitors to town and deliberately avoid driving them down Hunter Street because they're embarrassed. And that's a shame. And we need to address that. And it's been that way for far too long.
How can we address it, Richard?
Well, the Chamber is working on a proposal which hopefully in the next 3 or 4 weeks we will be able to go public on that. But just one of the problems, I think, is that the whole debate, or a large part of the debate, has focused on that 1.8 kilometres of rail line. Yes, that's there, but the solution is not just that. It's a solution which needs to drive integrated transport solution for the whole of the CBD and the immediate surrounding environs. So that, for example, if there was a new new Newcastle Central station at Wickham, which is the former government proposed, linked to a rapid bus transit system which ran around the city and then out to the junction, and one of the complaints is that people say, well, if the train stops before the current station, how do we get to the beach? How do we get to this? Well, the answer to that is a rapid bus transit system which takes them from the train interchange and delivers them to Newcastle Beach, to Bar Beach, to the junction and places like that. And so it's a matter of thinking beyond the rail line and the constraints that provides to that broader transport solution. And hopefully we can come up with something like that, and hopefully the government will see the sense of that and move towards that sort of a proposal.
Mm-hmm. And that's a Chamber initiative and driven report, or is that, have you got
we are
in that?
Look, there are a lot of stakeholders who are involved in this process, but I think what is important, and this is where the Chamber has a key role, is to work collectively with these other groups so that we are seen to be coming up with a proposal and everyone's on the same page. One of the problems that I think we've suffered in Newcastle for far too long is there are too many groups, often negative groups, but they get a lot of airplay, unfortunately. And then it's too easy for the decision makers in Macquarie Street or Canberra to say, look, those people in Newcastle can't make up their mind. We'll go and spend our money somewhere else where it appears to be more welcome. So what we really have to do is get all the key stakeholders onto one page and speak with a united voice. And if we can do that, I think we've got far better chance of getting the outcomes that we want and that we so desperately need.
Mm-hmm. If we talk about outcomes, we go to the Hunter Valley Research Foundation's economic indicators, which are on the site now for people to look at. In that, the Hunter Business Insider, I just want to get that plugged in. In that, we talk about two-speed, multi-speed economy here in the Hunter, and it is real. How does the Hunter Chambers, I guess, mandate vary to manage that, the incredibly powerful mining activity and retailers and other businesses that are struggling at the moment?
Look, Mark, I think that the two-speed or three-speed economy or whatever it is not unique to the Hunter. It's a national. It's all across Australia. And yes, here in the Hunter we have the resources sector, which is strong, and that is probably the backbone of our economy. With the slackening off of export prices at the moment, there is some talk of some of that investment in the mining sector, the resources sector flatlining, and whether that has some impact down the track, who knows. But I think a key message is that sector is providing a lot of strength to the regional economy. But there's a flow-on effect from everything that comes out of that, so that as that sector continues to grow and investment in the infrastructure around that and the related infrastructure growth around the port and all the development that's taken place and continue to take place in the port. All of that means added employment, added money coming into the region, and those additional employees are spending money in the local newsagent, the hairdresser and everywhere else, the coffee shops, and helping those parts of the economy as well. Yes, it's true that in sectors like retail and tourism and large parts of the construction industry, things are tough at the moment. But my view, I think, is that they would be a lot tougher, but for the strength of the resources Indeed. Part of the economy as well.
Mm. Yeah, indeed. We have got, as of the 1st of July, a carbon tax. Does the Chamber have a plan to review the impact of that over time, or it's going to be for the government and the opposition at the federal level, national level, to fight that out? So.
Well, I guess there's data coming out in recent times, surveys saying that people have been asked about that, and they're saying that they don't see any real impact. Look, it's only a month, and I think it's going to take a while for any impacts from the imposition of that tax to filter through the economy and for people to see that. And also bear in mind that those parts of the economy that are actually paying the tax it's a small part of the economy, but it does filter through, I'm sure, to increase pricing right through the system. So people will see the impact of it, I think. I guess it remains to be seen how it plays out. Well, certainly one thing the Chamber has been involved in, the Chamber together with Hunter TAFE and Newcastle Council, very pleased to receive a grant of $1.2 million from the federal government's Clean Energy Fund to develop a program, an energy efficiency program, which we will roll out over the next 2 years. And that's designed to help smaller companies, smaller businesses, our members and others, to develop energy efficiency systems and equipment, and to reduce their power bills ultimately, because one of the impacts we've seen is that electricity costs are skyrocketing. That will have an impact on all businesses, manufacturing businesses in particular. And there are a large number of businesses in the Hunter region who are here because of the reliability and previously anyway, the cheap power source. That's all changing, and it's having an impact, and that is a concern for the Hunter region going forward.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned there TAFE and some alliances there. I think RDA was involved. Was that part of that funding, or
no? The grant that we've received was a joint application that we put in. We led the application, but with the Newcastle Council and with TAFE.
Mm-hmm. Where else do you? Because there are HunterNet, and the Hunter Chamber. How do they fit together? You do a lot of work with HunterNet, I'm aware of that. So.
We do, and personally I've been involved with HunterNet since it started 20 odd years ago, and it's a great organisation. One example of where we work with closely with HunterNet is in the Hunter Defence area, and that's the Chamber has registered that name, Hunter Defence. It is co-owned with HunterNet, and we've developed the logo, and quite unashamedly, we plagiarise, I guess, to an extent, what South SA Defence, because that has been a success for South Australia in winning defence work. There are just so many opportunities, I think, in the Hunter for defence opportunities and work in relation to that. When I came into this role, for example, I was surprised to learn that the economic input into the regional economy just from the Williamtown RAF base alone is about $1 billion a year. That's a huge amount of money. Going forward, the next joint leading fighter, the Joint Strike Force program, the F-35A, being developed by Lockheed Martin in the US, Defence have said that, or their plans are hopefully to acquire up to 100 of those planes, and that will be 4 squadrons, 3 of which will be based here in Williamtown. Now that's a long-term project, and unfortunately in the last federal budget, with the defence cuts, that project has been put back a year or two, but it will happen. I mean, the current leading fighter has a limited life. It has to be replaced at some point in time, and so hopefully the government will continue with this program for the F-35A. Now, when that starts to arrive in Williamtown, and I think under the current deferred program, the first plane should arrive here in about 2018, 2019, but that will build up over the next 10, 15 years. That brings huge opportunities because it's expanding, it's maintaining the base, but expanding it. Hopefully with that, it might lead to some of the primes like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman coming to the Hunter as well to service the planes that are here. And all the ancillary services and work and opportunities that go with that. So that's a great opportunity, and it's something that the Chamber and HunterNet are working closely to ensure that we in the Hunter get our fair share of that. And we're developing a regional defence industry plan based on the Hunter, which we will then take to the state government and say, this is what we're doing in the Hunter. We want the state government on a broader scale to adopt this sort of concept across the state as well, because you talk to defence chiefs, a lot of them will say they regularly hear from the upper echelons of the governments in Victoria, South Australia and Queensland, but not so much from New South Wales. Now we need to turn that around in New South Wales and get the upper echelons of the government to understand that defence is a real opportunity for us here, and they need to be working as well.
Will the new state government feel more comfortable? The Liberal Party has made some significant inroads. Well, first time ever Liberal member for Newcastle.
Yes.
Is there some imperative there that they do amplify the defence opportunities here in Newcastle based on that? Can we leverage that?
I'm sure we can, and not only now in the state, but also in the upcoming federal, and there will be a federal election at some time between now and I think September next year. And you will have seen in the press of late that the coalition is starting to see the Hunter. Yes, it's in campaign mode. They've selected their candidate for the seat of Newcastle. They're now talking about selecting high-profile candidates for Charlton, for Shortland, and other seats around Newcastle and the Hunter, because I think they can see that the tide has changed after the last state election. And there may be some opportunities here to pick up some seats that they probably never thought that they would to win. So yes, look, that for the Chamber and all other groups involved in lobbying and looking for investment and government investment in the region, yes, it quite clearly is an opportunity because perhaps for the first time by both sides of politics, we are seen as a contestable area. And that's there's nothing better than a seat where the margin is slim, where it's a lay down misere for either side. The risk has always been that neither side of politics is particularly interested. They'll focus their efforts on the marginal seats. Well, that's changing in the Hunter, and hopefully that will lift our profile on the political landscape.
What do you think of there's two levels to this, one at a personal level and one for the Hunter Chamber. What's the biggest challenge the Hunter Chamber has now, do you think?
Look, I think it's to maintain the momentum that we have been building. I think our profile has been growing over the last couple of years through the things that we're doing, like the regular infrastructure forums, the mining forums. I mean, they're sellout events. We have those every quarter, and the last mining forum was sold out within 5 days. So quite clearly people are interested in what we're doing, interested in the speakers that we have coming along to those functions. And so there's certainly a challenge to maintain that momentum and keep going with what we're doing, and that helps to boost our profile, helps to boost our membership base, and helps to boost our credibility when we are talking to Macquarie Street and Canberra and the local councils as well, to say that we are a voice to be heard and to be reckoned with. So that's certainly a challenge. I think we are. I guess I'm biased in my view about this, but I think we are doing well. But the challenge now is to maintain that momentum, maintain the growth.
Okay, I do want to talk about now what Richard Anastasiou thinks too, and why do you do this, Richard? You have a proper job already, I think. I know you do.
I
as
do.
Head of Spark.
I do.
Yes.
And look, people often ask me that question: why do I do these things? I've always been a person who, when I get involved in something, I decide that yes, I'm going to get involved and get involved in a leadership level, or no, this is not for me, and I'll let someone else do that, so I'll back out of it. Look, I enjoy I've been fortunate, I guess, in my professional life. The Newcastle and the Hunter is a great place to be. It's been kind to me and my family, and I'm a sort of person who enjoys taking the opportunity to give back. So that's, I guess, my personal motivation. I've been involved in a number of things, like the Hunter Medical Research Institute from day one, and continue to be. That's another passion of mine. I've been involved I was president of the Law Society of Newcastle many years ago, and the Young Lawyers section of the Law Society of New South Wales, and a number of other organisations. So, I guess that's me.
I know, and my concern is that your group is relatively small. Are there enough people pushing up saying, okay, well, I want Richard's presidency or whatever in the medical foundation or research or any of those? Do you see that energy coming through?
Oh yes, look, there are plenty of people out there who
want your job.
Yeah, they can have it. No, look, we have a very strong board of about 13 or 14 people, and there are plenty of people there who will come through to get on the executive at some point in time and continue what I'm doing and what my predecessors have been doing for many, many years on the chamber. So no, I'm not concerned about that at all.
Okay. Richard, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.